Welcome, Layla. Welcome, Abdullah. It's a pleasure to have you with us, Gems of Arabia. We've been anticipating this interview with both of you. We wanted to kind of really see how music and film complement each other, and I can't think of two better people to do that. صراحة, mashallah. Layla, also as an entrepreneur, I think you've kind of made your mark on many levels with the music. I remember also we did a great collaboration with Darwal Banawi, which I really loved, and also all the music that you sing. I think there's a jazz, there's soul, and there's also a
Dream
Arabian
pop.
influences as well.
Oh, yeah, and that too, yeah.
How would you describe your music?
Well, thank you so much for the generous introduction. That's very kind. You're always so benevolent. I would say my music is just a reflection of who I am at different stages of my life. There is definitely some references of Oriental, Middle Eastern instruments, but presented in a more modern and sort of technological way. But at the same time, a lot of my music is about being connected with yourself, being, free as a woman, being in tune with your femininity, as well as the standard heartbreak and pain and all of the anguish that we face in this life. But yes, I would say that it's dream pop with some Middle Eastern elements, and it evolves as I evolve. So lucky for me that I'm an independent artist. I don't have to follow the trends or what a label tells me to do. I basically just express myself the truest I can in that moment of my life.
Okay, fantastic. Abdullah, mashallah, you've been really kind of made your mark in filmmaking, and really the way you approach music in your films are also very unique and authentic in that manner. Tell us a little bit about what kind of a filmmaker would you say you are? Like, what type of filmmaking is Abdullah's ethos?
Well, I first of all, thanks for having us here and connect and getting to see Layla. She's a dear friend, and always nice to see Layla.
It's a pleasure.
And yourself too. You're a dear friend, and I've known you for a long time. Such a pleasure to see you again. Well, film is 7 elements. They say it's the 7th art because it's architecture, it's poetry, which is acting. It's choreography, and it's music. And music is to me one of the most important elements of a film. I always say a film is 50% important to see a beautiful visual, beautiful image, but sound is also 50% as important, or if not more. So I pay a lot of attention to music. In the end, all these elements should be there to tell a story. So how do I use the music to tell a story, So no, it's very important for me. Absolutely. And there's a lot of music usually in my films.
What are your thoughts, Layla, on evoking emotion in music and film? And when you write a song or you think of a song or you recite a song, how does that affect you emotionally? And do you feel like you can inspire an audience emotionally from a specific song or specific words that you use when you are singing them, for example?
100%. I think I always make a conscious decision as to the kind of music I put out, especially as a woman. I think there's a lot of music that is very degrading or objectifies women, and even women sometimes will sing those songs. But I personally was very careful about the kind of music that I would write. And one thing that was really important for me was that young women would resonate and feel empowered and inspired. That can be the intention, but it's not always the case. And I think one of the best moments ever for me was I was at one of these concerts in Media City, and these 2 young girls came up to me, said are you Layla? And I said yes, and they said, oh, we love your song Goddess. And that meant a lot to me, because my breakout song Goddess was all about celebrating the prowess of the female, of you as a female, but also celebrating your vulnerabilities. And I think that's what's so beautiful about being a woman. and the sensibilities of a woman. So not shying away from that instead of also acting like you're so strong all the time. So I think definitely it can evoke emotion. It can, people can connect with the music through the words that you write, but also the melodies. You know, if you write something in a minor key, that's more sad. If you write something in a major key, that has a more like happier resonance, so that can have an effect on people's moods, you know. And I think it's just about like really just expressing how you feel through the music. I think if you try to be too scientific about it, it comes across as inauthentic and maybe disingenuous. But if you really do it with like, oh, this is a story I want to tell through these words and this melody and this, then you can only hope that people connect with it. And if they don't, at least you've expressed your true story. But I think in film, like my experience, though I'm not a filmmaker, when I watch a film, I feel like the music can really affect the storytelling journey for me. You know, some of the greatest, you know, musicians that score films like Hans Zimmer and whatever. I mean, his music is like a testament to that. It's, you hear it and you still feel like you can go back to that film, right?
Isn't that the guy that reworked the Saudi national anthem?
Exactly. Yes. Hans Zimmer is a absolute legend. I mean, he's done some of the best, scored some of the best films. But yeah, definitely, I think it has such a powerful impact on how you go through the story of a movie, and also how you go through chapters of your life. I mean, I remember like listening to certain songs when I was heartbroken, or, you know, if I was grieving, or if I was like happy, celebrating. You know, I think we all have kind of songs that have followed us throughout our journey of life, right?
You know, music is like perfume, you know, it's a smell, and that smell always brings back memories. And music is the same for I wouldn't say the ears, I think for the soul.
One of the strongest sense of memory is sound, I think, definitely. There's certain songs that are almost like kind of the soundtrack of your childhood, you know?
Exactly.
Like, it's just crazy.
Makes you feel so nostalgic, right, when you hear it?
Absolutely. It really resonates. Speaking of what resonates and how you come up with your collaborations with musicians who are part of, you know, your filmmaking, how do you select your composers, and what is the creative process when you start making your selections?
Well, it all depends on the script I'm working on. So it's really the script, the story that dictates where I go around with the music. My last movie, Only Man Go to the Grave, I had music from Peyman Yazdanyan, who is a very established composer, and also by all means he has his own name in the classical music circuit. And I was very lucky to work with him, because we actually won a prize just for the music through the film in Malmo, the Arab Film Festival. How did I go about it? You know, I was in a concert, and I usually close my eyes when I listen to music. If things come in my mind and I start to imagine things, and if my head starts to make stories, then I think it's powerful. And that's how I go about it. Then I'm like, okay, we can maybe approach and see if we can work with together. And that's how it happened with Peyman. For my next movie, so I am...
Can we know the name?
So my next movie is, it's a romantic thriller that is going to be, it's about an Arabian princess living on her private island in the tropics, receiving a script. And the script has these supernatural powers, because it starts to dictate her day that same day. So it's like a woman wakes up, goes surfing and stuff. So this is music that I know the music exactly that I want for this movie. It's I'm going for a Japanese 1950s. I'm a big fan of Teiji Ito. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you guys know him, but it's I always choose the music before even I write the story. Always. It happened with Only Men Go to the Grave. It happened with the movie before. Because since I was a kid, I would listen to music, and I would just get together with my brothers or my friends, and I would start to write the video clip in my head. And that's how really it started to train myself since I was a kid to always. I've never done a video clip yet.
Well,
yes.
we have the same.
Yeah, that's exactly. This is what I'm trying to get across. But to Layla.
Well, Hatem might be a great singer. We don't know about it yet.
No, definitely not my area.
But yeah, this is really how I see them. It's a question of, can you see the music? If you can see the music, then I can go ahead with this. And I think I'll be working with a young composer from Italy who is 22 years old on this one. I can't reveal his name yet and all of these things, but yeah, I'm going for a more Japanese vibe against an Arab story, and I've always had this in my movies, the fusion of music and image.
I mean, it's amazing how, everyone makes it associated with fashion and music, but music and film, I mean, for me, as far as I can remember, I think one of my favorite soundtracks was The Great Expectations soundtrack with Gwyneth Paltrow, Ingenue, and all these incredible songs that just goes back to like years. And you can't help but think of, how, I believe that some of the architecture of the film can also come from the music itself. Speaking of, soundtracks that really resonated, kind of, defined, maybe it's a bit of a dramatic way of saying it, but for me, defined a few elements of my childhood as well. What about you? Any specific soundtrack that you really think of? This is kind of like,
I mean, there's so many. But like, I mean, there's been different phases of my life, but what was that movie? Gangster's Paradise was really like a big. I just loved that soundtrack, and that was
powerful.
A really powerful film.
Coolio, right?
Yeah.
Coolio, yeah.
Yeah.
But like the whole soundtrack was so good, and then
Had like a cult kind of following as well. It was,
Yeah, but we can even talk about like The Bodyguard, like what amazing songs in that soundtrack, and Pretty Woman, and remember that song, I Can't Believe It. It was never like a famous song,
that
but
was
it was
in the soundtrack
Pretty
of
Woman
Pretty
soundtrack.
Woman, yeah. I'm one of those, who,
But,
who really looks at every single song and
me too.
the
Or
CD
Waiting
player
to Exhale, or like, I mean, so many good ones. Even what was that movie with Hugh Grant
For Weddings and a Funeral?
No, the one,
which one?
The one with the Notting Hill or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, so many great
classics.
Ones, but the ones that really stand out for me, and I use a lot in the productions of like what I produce today as a creative director and choreographer, are the Hans Zimmer scores, because he is really a genius. I mean, like, look at Dune. The soundtrack is a work of art. Yeah.
No, it's amazing. For me, I think it's also nice to be able to have this platform to. I'm all about bridging cultures. I'm all about bringing a bit of, our culture into the mix and exposing it to the world. And in film, I can only imagine. Like, okay, I tried a little bit of it in fashion and content, but when you have a film and you have control the narrative and you can really kind of integrate all of that. I know you're also doing a lot of that, bringing a lot of local and especially Emirati, celebrating Emirati kind of music as well. What plans do you have for future projects? And you've done that with your previous movies. I can see a lot of synergy. But what's next? And how can you also translate that into the digital as also? Like now with digital and with movies, you have even more exposure to be able to showcase your messages that you want to convey. It's a big question, Malish.
So I'll break down your question into parts.
Sorry.
So maybe I should talk about my next movie. So as I said, it's a romantic thriller.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Private Island. In the film, you see a script that comes and it's called Camel Tears, because I told you it's going to be. But it's a private, it's called Private Island. So we're in that kind of vibe. When it comes to digital and film, when I first started, probably now 20 years ago, I shot on film. I shot on a 35 millimeters with the philosopher in Paris. And it was an unbelievable experience because, well, it was the only experience I knew back then because I didn't do films before that. But then when I saw the transformation to digital, it just completely set a new language of how to film, because right now I can shoot infinite numbers of takes, which wasn't the case before. You know, if I did that, the producer would be pulling his hair out, you know, and going crazy. But does that help storytelling, or the quality of the thing? This is a big question. If you ask me in which side I'm at, of course, digital. You know, I'm always championing for what's new, what's good for the environment. It's sustainable if you think about it. Is it as beautiful? I don't know. That's a big question too. Of course, film has a texture that no matter what, I think we haven't achieved yet. And the fact that sometimes you have a certain amount of takes, so when you're doing the cut, that take will have to go into the cut, and it's a weird cut, something is off. I think that's beautiful, you know, because films are becoming too perfect. And I hate that. You know, film shouldn't be perfect. It should have its deformed shapes, you know. It
like
should,
life, right?
like life,
Yeah.
exactly. It's a
rawness, yeah.
Absolutely. So I really love when and you can see that with the films coming out today. Everything is just perfect,
Even music.
perfect.
Yeah.
But it's just soulless in the end, I feel, in a sense.
So are you anti-AI?
No, I'm not anti-AI. It's a tool in the end, and I'm always with what's new.
Okay.
And I hope that I always stay like this all my life, because this is how you kind of celebrate human culture. You know, it's with what's new. You know, I always try to say to myself, never be nostalgic, because then you stay in the nostalgia. And no, but if you now you raise the question of AI and filmmaking, that's also a huge revolution in cinema. Tomorrow we'll be seeing films that maybe there is no need for a director or a writer to be part of it. Is it bad or is it good? I think we need another podcast for that. But it's changing. Everything is changing.
Yes.
And it's been changing since day one, since we've been born. And they are tools in the end.
Yeah. I think that there should, just like evolution, progress, technology, AI can be a blessing. It can also be a curse, in a sense where a lot of the creatives who are deserves praise, some of them at some stage, maybe can be overlooked, you know. But of course, those who are made their mark are kind of, will never be overlooked. But there's this. For me, because at heart I'm a fashion designer, so for me the idea that in 10 years they can come up with the best of the best, and then just create a collection. To me, and that's actually happening. Digital, design and all of this. So where does that fall? As far as film and music, do you think it's going anywhere, or do you think that no matter what, we'll always be able to keep certain things? Layla?
That's a very hard question to answer, because honestly, I'm still very much an analog girl living in a digital world. But the thing is, I do think that there is still space for, just to reiterate, and not to reiterate, but add to what Abdullah was saying, is that I think that perfection is not really what people are seeking, and it's becoming more and more apparent with the new generations that, of course, as it's always strive to be perfect, but they no longer resonate with that, because around them everything is so fabricated and manufactured, is that they want to have this real experience and feel like, if you look at the biggest artists right now, it's Adele, Billie Eilish, Taylor Swift, like they are a bit bubblegum, but they're not even like very perfect pop production, right? Because people still want to feel the emotion in the voice. They still want to see rawness. Otherwise, it's taking away from the human experience, right? So I do agree that AI has a place and it can be helpful. Actually, I think in the same breath, I think that it can also see people maybe I think that we should all be creative. I think that being creative is healthy, and I think it's good for the human brain and heart and soul and everything. So if it gives people a channel who have been indoctrinated into like school systems where they take out their, they want you to conform, they want you to, sorry, without taking this too far, but creativity is being stripped from us every day. So if this is a tool or a conduit to allow you to be more creative, so be it. That's amazing. And I think the more people can have a creative outlet, the healthier our societies will be.
So you were discussing your films and the trajectory that you see your films taking, and how you want to kind of, let's get into that question. What kind of legacy would you like to leave, behind you as a filmmaker? What's like your ultimate?
My dream is to archive, the interesting times that we're living today, where we live, in this city, in this country, at this place, all of us together, all of us creating, all of us doing interesting things, each in his domain. Layla in music, myself in film, you in fashion, and it's what you try to do is to create and never stop creating, even if you doubt yourself. I just came back. I've been sidetracked for a few years now with things that are not really directly related with film. I love art. I'm very much associated with the art scene, and also I also have a production company called الأحدث Films, and we produce a lot of commercials and branded short films. So I've also got sidetracked with all of these things, and then all of a sudden I just decided, this was like a few months ago, I'm gonna get on a plane, I'm gonna freestyle, I'm gonna shoot a scene, I'm gonna fly everyone to this amazing destination and make a film scene out of it. And this is what I've done. And it's hard. It hasn't been easy, I must say, but what's so amazing about it is also the liberty to create something that is authentic without being steered a certain way through a producer or such. And this is something I've done. I just finished shooting this scene, and I go next week actually to Italy to do the finishing of the whole thing. Hopefully I'll share it with you guys. But my dream, my dream is to walk up the stairs, the red carpet stairs in Cannes Film Festival, and celebrate to the world not my film but the scene that I'm involved
so we're
in.
all manifesting this, and mark our words.
I'm already
happen.
seeing it. It's
gonna
there.
happen.
I'm seeing
Mark our
it.
words. It's only a matter of
and it would be dedicated honestly to the cultural scene that we are part of, to this beautiful region that we are part of, to the colors that we are part of. And also Red Sea Film Festival is also another closer dream, I think.
Yeah, أهلا وسهلا فيك.
So and we're also so proud of what's going on in Saudi, especially in the film industry. It's unbelievable. And Saudi films, honestly, are one of the most freshest voices in world cinema. And I am so mesmerized every time I watch a Saudi film. I'm like, wow, yani, it's really grabs the essence of what is happening right now.
I mean, the thing is that, like, one needs to realize that it's an ecosystem that didn't even exist. It's things that we have been craving, things that we have been manifesting and dreaming about. But the ecosystem has changed. And just one thing that I also know is that Saudi is for all of us. You know what I mean? And this is kind of the energy that I'm getting from the organizers, from everyone. We're going to be celebrating every single culture that's around us.
But you totally feel that when you're in Saudi.
Yeah.
The hospitality is second to none.
And it's no longer just, we want to be as inclusive as we possibly can. And because we can't, as they say, you can't clap with one hand. So whether it's Persian, whether it's Emirati, whether it's Lebanese, whether it's Egyptian, I think that it's an open, landscape for everyone to celebrate. And then finally now we all get to kind of thrive and show our work. So there's no reason why it shouldn't happen. But mashallah alaik, Abdullah, you've really created major milestones to be proud of until now. And that red carpet is definitely going to come, in Cannes for sure. And Red Sea, it's a matter of time.
Thank you.
Layla, tell us more about what you're doing now. I know you're an entrepreneur, but when are we going to hear music? When are we going to see a music video? When are we going to...
Questions that I ask myself all the time.
But you're also very busy. So
I am, but I also feel like when I don't have my creative outlet, I start to feel stifled. Lucky for me, I do have an entertainment agency where I curate and create beautiful shows regularly. So I do have that outlet where I can dream something and produce it, execute it, and put it. Some of them, and I love that. But there's nothing like really tapping into my soul and expressing what I want to express about myself or my life or my culture or my where I'm at or the plight of the female, all the things that matter to me, and so. Recently, I went to a beautiful recording residency in the south of France, and I did a focus 5 days there, and I produced 4 songs, which I'm going to put out as a project, what we call an EP. And then I am going to just produce 1 music video.
Oh, we can't wait.
Because nowadays I'm also very influenced by Japanese art, and I really wanted the music videos to have an anime touch. And I think with today's talents and access to the world, you can totally create that. So yeah, I do always visualize my music videos when I'm doing the music, and I always have a kind of a clear idea of where I want to go. But the music is a little bit futuristic and a little bit dark. So yeah, I'm excited to see that come to fruition, and I'll definitely be releasing that by the end of the year. Yeah,
we can't wait.
Yeah, thank you.
You also have a lot of range in the way you sing. I think it can be from Amy Winehouse to progressive to modern. I mean, how does one do that?
I think I wasn't someone who went to had intense music training. I grew up on the stage as a classical ballerina and a pianist, but as a typical Middle Eastern family, it wasn't really encouraged for me to be a singer. So I didn't have any formal training. So the way I learned how to sing was just emulating other singers. I would sit in my room, I remember, for hours with my Walkman, and I would listen to Mariah Carey, and I would try to sing like her. But actually, I was very influenced by jazz from a very young age. So definitely that jazzy, soulful vocal comes through, because that's the music I love, and that's how I like to sing. But with my own music, because it's more pop, the voice adapts to it naturally, because you just sing in different keys and tones and stuff. So I think it's good to have a signature on your voice, but also be able to be flexible with your voice. But I really I know there's a lot of rules around releasing music or who you should be as an artist, but for me it's truly an expression. I never had an intention to be famous. I never wanted anything but just to be free to say I want to make the music I want to make on my terms, on my time, which is why I never wanted to sign. I wanted to always have that integrity. So maybe one day I feel there's some artists that have like the same sound and consistency, and I understand that that's really important for the fan base. But then you look at artists like Madonna, who have had so much evolution, and I think that's so cool, And
Have that longevity
we're
and,
all
yeah,
evolving all the
invention, yeah.
time, so it's unrealistic to expect that your art stays the same all the time as well. It's like, what you were doing 20 years ago is maybe different to what you're doing now. You might have your signature, and like, I love that you do things that are so, pushing the boundaries and like different, and there's always a signature, but there's growth and there's change and there's
Taking risks.
sure.
Which
You
is
grow,
important.
you see life
Absolutely.
differently.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna see life differently also in the future as one does, and one does have to embrace that and make something beautiful out of it.
Tell me, Abdullah, what does heritage mean to you?
What does heritage mean to me? That's such
In your
a beautiful
filmmaking,
question.
is it something that you want to include in your film, continue including in your filmmaking? Do you think it's a catalyst for us to be able to kind of articulate who we are? And is it kind of, I think movies can also be kind of a great tool for that. But is it something that you look at seriously?
To me, heritage. I guess you're asking me in filmmaking. To me, heritage, honestly, is the values that you carry upon, and everything can change, and everything should change, and not maybe change, but evolve. But I think values are. I've been taught, I've been brought up that values should stay the same throughout your whole life. Set values that you cherish and you fight for. And to me, this is like the heritage. So I'm always, I don't know, make movies with love, treat people with love. You're sometimes at a position where you can influence the team or all of that, and you should do it with love, and love is reciprocal. And this is one of like it's my biggest value, do everything with love.
That's a very Emirati value also.
Yes, and it's an Emirati value to be open to the world and to love everyone, love one another. And everything can be done through love, and everything can be done without love too. But with love, it's much more easier and much more human, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love that.
I love love.
I love love.
Layla, what kind of legacy do you want to leave?
I have a beautiful son, and I think about this all the time, and still I don't have the answer to that question, but I just know for me what's really
right?
Rumi, yeah. It's for me what's really important is to live an aligned life, and my husband and I are very intentional, and more recently we've started businesses that we know will have a positive impact on community. Whereas in the past we were more restaurateurs, and that sometimes is a conduit for things that are not so beautiful. So now, we're in the wellness space. I'm doing art. And so everything we do is very intentional. I think, like Abdullah was saying, in everyday actions can have a greater impact and leave legacy, right? And how people remember you. But I think my legacy specifically is that I always wanted to encourage and be an example to Middle Eastern women who feel like society is sometimes holding them back from the dreams they want to pursue. Even though I pursued my first love, which is music, very late compared with maybe some other people, but I did it against all odds. And I want people...
You definitely achieved that.
I mean, thank you. It was like a labor of love, but I think for me it was like I just couldn't bear to live a life of regret and not being in my true essence and who I really was meant to be. And I really stand by the fact that I know, maybe culturally it's not sometimes accepted, but when you live in your truth, you have such a more meaningful life, and sometimes it's more challenging, but it's more meaningful and so much. I think that in itself is legacy, right? But yeah, I always think about the messages and the things that I do today that, you know, will reflect who I am in the future and will reflect who my son is and his life. And so, as I said earlier, everything for me is intentional. And I hope that young women do pursue their dream of, do follow their dreams of pursuing the arts, because I think we need more artists in this region.
Absolutely. I have a signature question that I'm going to ask you both.
Yes,
I promise I won't bother you with any more questions today.
We love the questions. They're beautiful and super deep. It's so nice to have these
deep, I must
conversations, right? I feel so emotional and like, you know, I feel elated by these questions.
It helps when you have such, you know, inspiring guests as both of you. Abdullah, what is authenticity to you?
Wow, what is authenticity? Authenticity is making a film about how it feels for, let's say, a woman walking to the supermarket and grabbing some food and paying for it, and then going home and unpacking and maybe making a meal. That to me is authentic. That is to me cinema.
Yeah.
Just this mundane, everyday life, you know. Everything has to be
not contrived, not too many bells
sensory,
and whistles,
yeah.
and you know, just something very simple but to the point. You know.
Yeah, this is. My films are not authentic in that sense, I must say, because it's always so dramatic a bit. But you asked me what is authenticity in cinema, and this is to me like I really admire filmmakers who kind
are
of
able to achieve that kind of simplicity, yet really have the impact. You know,
that kind of they play with your voyeuristic not intentions but inhibitions inside, that you want to see how is it that a woman can buy something in a supermarket, or a man, whatever. But to me in cinema that's very authentic. One day, inshallah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Layla, what's authenticity to you?
Authenticity. Authenticity to me is living your life in alignment and being true to who you are. And I think along the way you have to stop people pleasing, and you have to stop faltering to what society wants from you or expects from you, with all the respect and love towards our traditions, though, because they are beautiful. But I think that if you want to be really true to yourself, you can do what you love in a respectful way and live a beautiful life.
Yeah. Of that as well. Thank you both for coming. It's really inspiring. I look forward to every episode, and this is definitely one of them. I think music and filmmaking comes from really eloquent people, and the voice of music and filmmaking in our region. I mean, you guys are definitely part of that, you know, the pinnacle. So thank you for being part of this podcast, and hope we catch up again soon.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure having you both with us.
Thank
And
you.
we're very fortunate to be invited in a podcast called Gems of Arabia.
Habibi.
So thank you for making us
From
feel like
one
a
of the
gem today.
gems,
Thank you.
himself.
From the
You are the gems. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Fatima.
you. Thank you so much.